Welcome back students in the series of Tech Technology. So in the last video we have discussed about the complete overview of the course, that the course includes basically four modules: the MongoDB, Express.js, React.js and Node.js. Before starting these modules we have to study the basic of HTML, CSS and JavaScript. So in this particular video let's start with the basics of HTML. First of all, we'll discuss what is HTML and why we use HTML in the full stack course. So HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language, which is the standard markup language for web pages. So if you want to develop or design any kind of web page over the internet, you have to use HTML because it's standard form of designing. With HTML, you can create your own websites. HTML describes the structure of a web page. So basically, HTML is used to structure the complete web page. So HTML do this task by the using some tags. So there are basically some predefined tags which you have to use to design a complete web page. Now, next we will discuss the basic format of a web page and how a web page basically works. So let's discuss. So to create a HTML document, you have to use a tag named as HTML. Every HTML tag, as discussed, have an opening tag and a closing tag. So this is how an opening tag looks like. So any tag surrounded with the angular brackets is known as an opening tag in HTML. And every tag surrounded with angular brackets and with a forward slash is known as a closing tag. So this HTML here is a closing tag and this is the opening tag. Next, we have a HTML tag. So everything written inside the HTML tag is known as a document and easily can be viewed on the screen. Next, we have the head tag and the body tag. So there are basically two components of a document. One is head and other is body. Everything which you see inside your browser is known as the body. The basic information of your website must be written in the head tag. So any kind of link you want to integrate, any kind of information you want to pass to the browser will be written in the head tag. And any kind of designing part, you will have to write this on the body tag. Now we have to create a file. Let's say first program, and the extension of this file must be .html. So this is our HTML file. Now as discussed, we have to create a HTML tag. So this is basically the opening tag and this is the closing tag. Now in between this HTML tag, we have to define two tags. One is head tag and the second is your body tag. This is the opening tag and this is the closing tag. This is the opening body tag and this is the opening closing body tag. Now let me define the title of the document. So let's say I'll write first project or first HTML document. So this title tag will define basically the title of your website. I'll show you. Let's save this and open this in the live server. So look out, the first HTML document. So this is basically title of your document, title of your website, the first HTML document. So it will be written in the head tag and more precisely the title tag of the head element. So these are the tags. Next we have the body tag. So inside the body tag we can write anything. So let's define a simple tag, any h1 tag, let's say. So h1 is basically what? A heading tag. So if we want to design a heading, we have to use a h1 tag, and there are basically 6 types of h1 tags. So let me do this. Let me write hello world. I saved this and let us see the output. So this is the hello world, and it is written in the H1 tag, and there are total 6 H1 heading tags, six level of H1 tags: H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, and H6. So let's try all this. Hello world. The difference between this H1, H2, H3 tags is basically the size of the heading. As the number of tag increase, the size will be decreased. So H1 tag is the largest, then H2, H3, H4, and so on. Next we'll have H6. This is the last. So this is the smallest size we have. You can see. So this is a H1, this is H2, this is H3. There is no other difference, just the size of this particular heading. So basically this is a basic example how a HTML document can work. So for creating an HTML document, you have to create an HTML tag, then you have to pass the heading tag. Heading tag is basically not compulsory. You can just run the program without that also. But on that, it will show you complete address of your website or your HTML document. This is why we write a simple heading tag over here. Next we have the body tag. So everything you write inside your body tag, it will be shown on this particular white screen. So this is the basic format for creating a web page. Next, let's discuss the HTML elements. An HTML element is defined by a start tag, some content, and an end tag. So as discussed in the previous example, the H1 tag. The H1 tag is basically an element consists of 3 parts: the starting tag, the mid content, and the ending tag. So if I show you, here we have the opening tag, we have the content, and we have the closing tag. So this whole will be called as a single element, and we totally have 6 elements over here. Similar to this body, similar to this head, and similar to this HTML. All of these are the elements. And single part, if we call, that is a tag. This head is a tag, this title is a tag, this H1 is a tag, and this combined is known as an element. So there are some examples of the elements. First is H1, which we have discussed. Second is this P tag or P element. P stands for paragraph. Let's discuss this also. A paragraph is basically a simple tag in which we can return multi-line strings. So if I want to enter something, let's say hello world, how are you? This is my first HTML program. So I have written 3 lines in this particular paragraph tag. So paragraph tag is basically used to write multiple lines on the screen. So let me show you the output. So this is how a paragraph is written. Hello world, how are you? This is my first HTML program. There are also some kind of empty tags we have, which empty tag is basically a tag which don't need a ending tag or anything else. So let's say example of this BR tag. BR tag. Let me show you output this. So BR tag basically stands for break line tag. So when you use a break line tag, the after text of the break line of that particular tag will become under the next line. So it will work as an enter that makes your text into the next line. So this is how your tags will work. You have a starting tag, you have an ending tag, and you have a content in between. So this whole will looks like a element inside your browser, and this is how your HTML structures work. Now next, let's discuss comments. So every programming language or any scripting language have a concept of comments. So comments are basically the lines which is not executed into the final output. So let's say if I have 6 lines, but I only wants to execute this particular single line, but I still want to keep these lines for the later use. So we must have to comment these particular 4 lines. So the only programmer can read this, but not the compiler or not the translator. So in HTML we have a concept of comments. So we can comment any kind of line by using this particular code: an angular bracket, exclamation, and this. So this is the opening of the comment and this is the closing of the comment. Now any line, any number of lines written in this particular syntax will be commented. Now you can see the color of these commented lines will be changed. So if I save this and if I execute this, so only the first heading will execute, and after that the paragraph tag is executed. Let me show you. Let me remove this br tag so it will be more clear to you. Now you can see. Let's save this. Now you can see only the heading tag and the paragraph tag, and let's just take out this s2 tag out of the comment. Now you can see the s2 tag as well. So comments are basically a syntax by which you can also create the documentation. So if I want to document something in this particular in this particular page, I can easily using the comment. So let's say I want to add a message. So let's say this is a comment, and another than this, comments are used to file documentation into the project. Next, let's say also comments are not executed by the browser. Comments are basically simple lines of code that only the programmer can read for the better understanding of code. Or if you want to hide something from the compiler, you can also do it like using comments. Let's save this like this. You cannot see any of that particular comment line into the browser, but only you can see that into your code. So by using comments, you can also find the documentation. If you want to demonstrate something, if you want to write something in your code that you want only the programmer can read, you can use comments. So this is how we use comments in HTML. That's all for this video. We have discussed the basic structure of the page. We have discussed some elements. We have discussed comments. In the next video, we'll discuss about the attributes and some more tags and some more elements. Thank you.